Hey, chickadees. Welcome into today's episode of Mojo Mysticism. Again, we're going to pull from the pocket version of the Wisdom of the Oracle deck today. I'm still in a hotel room, but I'm heading home today, so that'll be nice. So let's just see what Spirit has for us, what our guides are going to tell us today. I feel like it's going to be really interesting. So sometimes I get a sense ahead of time. And it's usually just a sense, like through a feeling. So it's like a clairsentience hit. So I've kind of got a little hit this morning that's going to be really interesting. So we'll see. All right. So let's see what we have. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we go through the 3 cards. So stop, Molly. Slow down. The first card we got today, this is card number 51. This is Milk and Honey. Milk and Honey. And the second card we got today is card number 30. We've seen this card recently. This is Tock. Like by recently, I think both Milk and Honey and Tock have come out in the last probably 2 to 3 weeks. So we've seen them recently. So Tock. And then the third card that we got today is card number 40, Co-Create. We saw this yesterday, card number 40. So, and yesterday we talked about co-creation, and we talked about the treasure island, and how basically we get to change the story that we're telling ourselves, and that's when we can see that we already have the abundance that we need, and we can create more of it, right? And also we can do that through co-creation. So today the story is, again, very similar, because we have Milk and Honey, which is also like this beautiful, lush abundance in our life that frankly is already there. And it's so cute. Like this card, if you haven't really looked at it, I'll try to get it in closer, but it's so cute because there's this cute little baby elephant. I don't know if you can see, if we can get this zoomed in. Cute little baby elephant playing in that bowl of milk and honey, just playing, frolicking. And that's what our lives can be like, right? Sometimes they feel heavy, and sometimes we're going through things that are heavy, right? And this reading today is about the times when it's not quite as heavy, right? And so the Milk and Honey card is again about that abundance, the times when we feel really abundant, we feel we're in connection with that story that we're telling ourselves about our life being abundant instead of being full of lack. And we all go through periods of time like this where we're doing both, right? So I go through periods of time when I feel like I'm lacking in things, and other times when I feel very, very abundant. And for the most part these days, I stay much more in the abundant side. And so what happens as you get more and more in the abundant side is that when you do feel those periods of lack, and you do have those kind of those messages coming up in your head, and you're beginning to pay more attention to them, it can be alarming. So Milk and Honey, this whole idea of abundance, and it's recognizing the abundance that's there and being playful with it. And then the Tock, this is about just understanding that time isn't quite what we thought it was. That's what the message is today with this card. Time isn't quite what we think it is. So I was recently told, like in the last, I guess it was 3 weeks ago, I don't know, because I kind of have a time issue going on personally, but not to wear a watch. I don't know if you've noticed these videos. I used to wear my Apple Watch every single day religiously, and my guide literally said, take it off. And so I took it off, and I'm not putting it back on because they were like, you don't need that. Also, it was interfering with my own pathways, my electrical pathways. That's what they were telling me. And also I'm not subject to it. So take it off. So I did. And here we are. And I'll tell you what, this must be the day for anecdotal stories. That first day after I took that watch off, that next day I was like, am I going to make any meeting on time? Like any of them? I had some anxiety about it because what I realized in thinking about that was how much I, right, have allowed time to like become this thing that felt restricting, right? It felt like I was almost had to be submissive to time, right? And submissive to my schedule. And the other thing they told me when they said take the watch off, because the first thing I did, I took it off, and then I was like, well, what about my calendar? Like, if you saw my calendar, maybe some of yours calendars are like this, but it is chock full every single day. So, and so, so my first, pushback in my resistance was, okay, I'll take this watch off, but then what am I going to do about this calendar? And they said, your calendar has nothing to do with time. It has to do with agreements and commitments. And I thought, that's interesting. And it immediately took the pressure off of the calendar piece. And I'm still trying to figure out what the hell they meant. So it's like, but it's still time-based. So I'm still trying to figure that out. So more will come. But yeah, I have no watch on. So here we go. Anyway, so TikTok card is really about understanding that time is not what we thought it was. Time is frankly, here's one of my crazy ideas that have come to me. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. Time, what my guides have told me is time was created out of fear. So time is a construct that we humans have put in place because of FOMO, fear of missing out. It is a fear-based construct, right? Because it was how do we know when to be where, right? Which was really coming out of fear of missing out. And so that's what they've told me. That I'm also still waiting for more information to kind of fill it in. But if time is a construct, which we know it is, and if time is potentially fear-based, then yeah, we relish in the idea that we're invited to think of it differently. So, and there's all these different ways to think about it. So there's Einstein time. If you're not familiar with that, you can look it up, you can Google it. But I have experienced Einstein time, where time basically stands still and it gets stretched out. I've also had experiences where, actually it was in a hypnosis last week. Was it last week? I don't know, week before last. I don't know, because time is a thing. But I was doing a hypnosis with one of my practitioners, and the hypnosis was not about time. That was not the topic of the hypnosis. But what I experienced in the course of about 45 minutes of hypnosis was at least 2 lifetimes. And I have heard of this phenomena from some of my Buddhist lamas, and I've seen it in movies about Buddhism and other things where I remember one image in a movie where I don't know if it was a lama or just a practitioner of Buddhism that sat down to have tea and looked at the tea cup, right? And in the cup, they were looking at the tea leaves swirling around in the cup for like just a few seconds. But during that time, they experienced an entire lifetime, not the current lifetime they're in, but another lifetime. And that was the experience that I had during the hypnosis a couple of weeks ago. Interestingly, that hypnosis was after I was told to take my watch off. So there's something here. The pieces are coming together. I don't know where it's going to end up. But I do promise you that I will fill you in. So, but it's interesting. So that card, TikTok, about time, is really, really important today, because the connection between the milk and honey card and the TikTok card and the message that they have for us today is that when we give up this notion of time, right, to the extent that we can, and we understand that it is something that we created and we created it out of fear, it actually lets us relax. And I know that sounds weird because I told you the first day I didn't have my watch on, I was like, I'm going to be late to everything. And I was late to a couple of things. But over the course of the last couple of weeks, I've gotten more and more comfortable with not wearing a watch. Now, there's something you need to know about me and watches. I have worn a watch, I think, since I was maybe 6. I wore, there was the old Timex Ironman watches. Look, I'm talking to you guys like for friends, because we are. But the old Timex Ironman watches, I wore them every day for decades, pretty much until, well, the Apple Watch, of course, but then I do have a couple other watches. But the interesting thing is I've just always had a timepiece on my wrist since I was a very young child of one sort or another. And it's not to say that I won't wear a timepiece again. It's just that I do what I'm told. So they said, take it off. I've taken it off. They may say, hey, it's okay for a different type of watch. And I may or may not choose to put that on in the future. We'll see. But I won't do it until they say it's okay. But there's a connection between this. Once you kind of settle into a notion that time might not be what you think it is, there is an opening that happens where you begin to live more in the moment, right? Because you're not thinking about what's coming up next, right? As much. We still kind of can hang out in the past a lot, but we're not really tied as closely to what's coming up next. We're able to understand and experience time a little differently. And I noticed this even this morning when, I'm in this hotel and I went downstairs to get a little bit of breakfast. And I had a meeting this morning before doing this, and I went downstairs. I had no watch on, right? I had my phone in my pocket in case I needed it, but I knew I had about 7 minutes until the meeting. And I knew it's like, I'm good. And so I didn't even look at, now normally I would, let me tell you my normal behavior. I would check my watch about every 30 to 60 seconds to make sure that I'm going to be on time for my meeting. And what I have found is that when I'm not wearing it, I am not just aware that time is different, right? And not what I thought it was, but also that I seem to have plenty of it. Now, I can't really explain that because it oscillates from feeling like I have plenty of it to also, like, when I look at my calendar, to feeling overwhelmed, right? If I think about time. But if I don't think about time, I don't feel overwhelmed. I just do the next thing. So what it does is it opens your brain up, or at least this has been my experience. It opens my brain up to understand that I do have an abundance of time. And I have the opportunity to co-create anything I want, because I also am co-creating the time that I need. And that is where the co-create card comes in. And that's what I think is so beautiful about this. So yes, TikTok, time isn't what we think it is. When we accept that idea and begin to noodle on it, we start to see this beautiful combination between this understanding that we have an abundance of time, among many other things, right? Because we slow down and we can actually see the abundance in our lives, and that we actually can co-create with spirit the time that we need for whatever it is that needs to be done, right? Or that we've been, let me rephrase that, for whatever it is that we've been invited to participate in. So that's been my experience. Let me know in the comments if it's been your experience too, or if you've experienced any of these crazy things that I'm talking about. But yeah, that's what it's all about. That's why TikTok is card number 2, because it's, in this reading, it's the central idea to this whole reading today of milk and honey, TikTok, and co-create. Okay, so thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to my meanderings. And I love you all. I'm just so pleased with this community. And yeah, if you haven't followed or subscribed, please consider doing that. And know that I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah.